Alright then, lads, ladies, and those of us who know better. My name is Jackson MTT Kenny, and welcome back to Bold and Bright. I said I'd give you updates on the Gravity Falls animatic, and I'm keeping my word on this. I mean, I've already gushed about Gravity Falls in the couple episodes before this, so I won't go into that too much, but kind of when I was a teenager, I took a break from doing fan art for some ungodly reason. It just pretty much got off the fan art. Plus, I wasn't really happy with anything I was making, and I felt like it was almost insulting to the thing that I was fond of to make really crappy art about it. That is a bad mindset, made up by silly ableist capitalists. We make the work we do because it brings us joy or enhances our skills, not because we are trying to achieve perfection or sell it. But way back last year, I got back into fan art again, and last year I watched Wilder Art's video about redesigning Gravity, and it got the gears turning in my head for a Gravity Falls. It's not really an alternate universe, because I'm not changing anything, I'm just going, 10 years in the future. I went back through my photos to find, the oldest drawings I've got of Dipper and Mabel. There's a sketch from ages ago that I haven't been able to dig up. I might be able to by the time this comes out, which I think was technically the very first drawing I ever did of Dipper and Mabel, but the first finished illustration I did of them was way back in November, and something you're probably going to notice right away is that out of the two of them, Dipper's design is the one that changed the most. I think I had Mabel down pretty well from the get-go because I had Wilder Art's work to base it off of, and yeah, just throw the wee bob and the hair streaks and the fun jumpers. That's basically Mabel right there. In the noticeable details, I had the pig bag there from the beginning, only if you can see it there, it's more like a wee hip pouch situation than a full-blown backpack. You also can't see the shoes really well, which is annoying because they're cupcake themed. And back there, you can see Dipper. Now, I've got my headcanons for both the mystery twins, namely that they are both some flavor of bi or pan, and Dipper specifically is trans. And I also have it in my head that they are both autistic, so I wanted to show that in different ways. In individual illustrations of Mabel, I give her fidget jewelry or things like that for her to, get some of that energy out with. And with Dipper, I've noticed that I have a tendency in nearly all of my drawings to give him noise-cancelling headphones. We didn't really see it in the show that he, really needed noise-cancelling headphones, but something tells me the second he realized he could just play Disco Girl instead of having to listen to ambient noises, he was doing great. So why did this Dipper design get scrapped? For the very simple reason that it looks too much like me. I didn't realize until I was done. It's hang on, I have that shirt. I have those headphones. Or are those my glasses? Oh no, my hair kinda looks like that if I grow it out a bit. Damn it. There's projecting on a character, and then there's accidentally drawing yourself into a Gravity Falls illustration. So it was back to the drawing board with Dipper, and something that I was trying to figure out was what to do about the hat, because the pine tree hat is absolutely iconic, but we know that he swapped it out for Wendy's hat, which I don't like drawing. It's okay, 10 years later, maybe the old hats are a bit raggedy, they're sitting on a shelf somewhere, and what hat does he inherit now? Stan's beanie from after he goes all adventuring with his brother. Yeah, it's all coming full circle now. I also mentioned in the last one that this is a 10 years later thing, but I don't personally follow the belief or headcanon or AU or whatever that after the events of Gravity Falls the series, they just never went back to Gravity Falls the place. It just, look, that's where all their family and friends are. I mean, okay, yeah, they've got 2 parents and maybe a couple people back in California, but nope, Gravity Falls is, I think, where they feel they belong, as crazy, kooky, and dangerous as the whole thing is. And I know since Gravity Falls is based off the creator's Alex Hirsch's own experiences, I was tempted to go a little bit more Alex Hershey, but nah. In my style, that just didn't feel quite right. Okay, I can maybe see the flannel, but not so much the goatee. I give him a wee bit of stubble because, come on, if he's going to spend that long on testosterone, he's got to show it. But apart from that, I also tend to make him a bit chubbier because you can see in the other members of his family that, all the fellas tend to get kind of stocky after a certain point. So it's you know what, he's in his 20s, he bulked up a wee bit. And the next picture I've got up here isn't actually a finished illustration. It was it was going to be a full illustration, but I think I used the wrong paper, and I was struggling with the ink, so I gave up. This was it before I completely ruined it. But you can see a couple more iterations, the pig is officially a backpack now. You can see Mabel's star tattoo a little bit more clearly. She's got the star tattoo in the other illustration as well. It's just so goddamn dark on her shoulder that you you can't see. You might have also noticed that I've got 2 hidden bills on these, aka the triangle with the shape in the middle. I was so proud of myself for coming up with the idea of using a butterfly as a bow tie for the first one. And I should probably mention the vibe that I was going for with the mystery twins. I mean, my Pinterest feed gets a lot of fan art on it, so I've seen a lot of older redesigns of Dipper and Mabel, and it seems to be either just like straight up redoing his kid outfit but a little bit older, maybe with like a tattoo or some stubble, which that is the direction I went in for the first outfit. That's the same color palette that he had when he was wee, but I don't know, it just didn't feel quite right to me. The other route that people go down is making him a little bit preppier. That's the route Valdorite went down, but I didn't do the preppy Dipper thing. Mostly because I feel like Dipper's a little bit too feral for that. I can see him getting into like a good uni, I can see him becoming a professor or a researcher or something that requires you using your brain smarts all the time, but I feel like he's less like, oh my god, I'm late for calculus class, and a bit more, a couple streets down, there's a lady that has to keep calling the authorities because this crazy kid's on the roof of the 7-Eleven again trying to find aliens with a big sonar thing. I've read a couple of analyses of how Dipper and Mabel would have just evolved over the summer, namely that they were living with their Grunkle Stan, who was such a criminal. That's not even me being hyperbolic. He's banned in most states. He's made a couple references to Colombia. I don't know what he was getting up to in the 70s. I don't want to know. But a lot of weird stuff happened over that summer. I was a traumatized teen. I know you can pick up some really weird quirks if you're stuck in a weird situation for long enough. I don't think the Gravity Falls was exactly bad for them. I just think that, it was probably a little bit stressful on their little 12-year-old brains to nearly die a bunch of times. And so the route that I tend to go down for Dipper is less professor and more homeless fella you'd find digging through the dumpster, only he's digging through the dumpster to find some mysterious clue for whatever. Does not look that way to the cops, though. I mean, in my mind, they all know how to they know how to hop fences and pick locks and mostly get away with murder. I've seen some good analyses of just what skills they picked up, and I feel like I've talked about Dipper a lot, just because, okay, he's my favorite of the two and the hardest to design, which means I automatically have a bit more to talk about. I adore Mabel, so I'm going to move on to her. In terms of her design and her personality, the thing that I kind of hyper-focused on is the fact that she's a crafter. That came up in the animatic that you'll be seeing. But canonically, she knows how to knit. I can see her crocheting. Like, she scrapbooks, she's into musical theater, she's into dancing, she's just such a gregarious bundle of energy that I feel like whatever she went for, she could probably do it. I mean, I can see her getting into, once they move on to, was it over in America, high school? Yeah, when she moves into high school, getting really into dance or the theater. Also, when I was designing these, I wasn't just thinking about what they would look like in a still image, I had to think about how they would move. And whilst, like I said, they can both hop fences, Mabel's just naturally that little bit more athletic, because in my mind, things like gymnastics and dance take up a lot of energy and you have to be quite fit to do them. So obviously she probably picked up how to do a somersault from somewhere, she's fine. And meanwhile Dipper, he's athletic enough to get himself out of a scrape, but he's not hitting the gym on the weekends. He's probably up until 4 a.m. watching bloody breakdowns of something historical and getting into the ADHD hyperfocus where you forget to eat, sleep, or breathe, or drink. Also, the sign in the second illustration was something in a Tumblr post where someone said that they dreamed about a sign that people put on missing persons site that said never found and had a cute wee rabbit on it. I feel like I should do something with that, maybe Scooby-Doo related, but it's just such a cool thing. But it's such a cool design. I'm glad someone sleeping conscious came up with that. And now we're on to the quote-unquote character sheets. You can probably guess if you know me IRL or if you've seen any of my creative process, I'm not particularly organized. I know people who, before they start a big project, they will write out 1,000 notes for it, but in my mind, I had a decent idea of what I was doing, but I knew I needed to make these wee character sheets, otherwise I would be floundering. So I did a couple concepts for Mabel's outfit. It was just basic things like, where's her tattoo? Does she have freckles? I gave her a couple band-aids because, again, rough and tumble person. And though I tend to draw them in quite complicated stuff outside of the animatic, when it actually came down to drawing them for this, I realized that I had to simplify their designs down by quite a bit. So you'll notice that I gave Dipper a tattoo. The main reason he's in a long-sleeved hoodie instead of in a rolled-up t-shirt like I do in basically every other illustration of him is because I really wanted to give him the tattoo, but I didn't want to draw a tattoo over and over and over and over again. I also had the idea for like a book holster, but then I realized that I'd have to draw that on his hip all the time, and that drove me mental, so nope, he's got a wee inside pocket of his hoodie that does that for him. I also just had to scrap stuff like pride pins or the pine tree thing on his beanie. Although I went quite literal with Mabel in that she's got the pan flag on at least 2 outfits, she's got the very obvious shooting star tattoo on her shoulder. I didn't want to go too obvious for Dipper, though I do imagine that since it's established in the show that he doesn't take great care of himself, like he doesn't particularly care about what he's wearing, I imagine that he's just getting all of his shirts out of the mystery shack. Like every summer when he shows up, nick a couple from the storage in the back. Yeah, that's him sorted. And his color scheme was so bloody annoying and difficult because I knew I wanted to go quite bright for Mabel, but I had no idea what to do for him. I didn't want to go like straight neutrals or straight blue, so I was trying to go simple. I don't think I went that simple, but hey, if it works, it works. There's also just notes on the corner of these, which is stuff, again, like he literally has one outfit. He has a bracelet for Mabel, he's 100% trans and bi, he's autistic, he's in his 20s, just stuff that I had to keep in the back of my head, and you have no idea how many times I flicked back to my character sheets just trying to remember, hang on, did Mabel's dungarees have a pocket? And then I had to update that so they did have a pocket for plot reasons. Also, it doesn't really technically count, but a couple other characters appeared as like their grown-up versions in this. Notably Wendy and Pacifica, because I like drawing women and they're fun to draw. Alex Hirsch has said that after the events of Gravity Falls, Pacifica starts working in the diner. She's poorer, she's probably still middle class, but, you know, not quite hobnobbing anymore. So as something that I needed to contrive for the plot, I had to try to figure out why everyone in Gravity Falls would be in a certain spot at a certain time, and the idea I came up with was that, okay, it's the Mystery Twins' birthday, they're all in the Mystery Shack getting their party together. Because, come on, you leave Mabel alone with confetti for 5 minutes, of course it's going to be mental and require a lot of physical manpower. So I had Pacifica there as head of catering, I guess. She's been working there a while. She knows what she's doing. And also, as of time of recording, not all of these have been finished, and I'm considering scrapping the one of Wendy that's not going very well at the minute. I'll have to just add a wee addendum on screen now, depending on how well that goes. But I can't really say that that's an original Wendy design. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the person on Pinterest name of the artist. I saw their work on Pinterest. There was a very clear watermark. It began with a B. I cannot remember the rest of it. But they had a couple, like, doodles of Wendy in just slightly different styles and shirts and expressions. So I kind of fused 2 of those together. I like the Portland shirt, I like the plait, and I really should start wrapping up because I told myself I was going to make it easier to edit, one, because I have a very busy weekend, but also I was just trying to imbue as much of their character as I could into everything. So we get clear views of Dipper and Mabel's bedroom and also their room in the Mystery Shack, and I tried to include as many Easter eggs as possible. So there's stuff like an invitation to Susan Melody's wedding, happy 3 years on T Dipper. I had too much fun with the posters. There are 2 Mabel posters. One of them just says boy band and the other one says random singer. I love dumb jokes like that so much. And I also hid a bunch of hidden bills in here. Some of them are so bloody subtle that I forgot I drew them, but after the animatic comes out, see how many you can spot. I'll try to go through and tally them out so you can tell at the end. This animatic has gone in about, I want to say 10 different directions since I started. The core idea hasn't changed, but how they get from point A to B to C to D to bloody Z, that's changed quite a lot. I've had to work within the limitations of what I can do in an animatic, and also my own physical limitations. As of right now, the frame count stands at 63, not counting the title card or the end credits. Okay. I've got a decent chunk of it done. I've been taking pictures as I go along so I have references and for what order everything's going to go into. And scrolling through it now, I think it's doable to have this out by August, but the editing is going to be a complete nightmare, so I'm probably going to need most of August just to edit the damn thing. So this'll be fun. I hope you like the very, very deep dive into my character design process and how I aged up Dipper and Mabel Frankly, they wouldn't have turned out half as good as they did without the work of a lot of other Gravity Falls fans influencing me. So I guess thanks to everyone who shows up on my Pinterest feed from time to time. Well appreciated. And since that's everything, onto the outro. I've got an art blog on Tumblr where I've been posting updates for the animatic if you still want a few more of those. I'm at Blue Bold and Bright or Jackson MTT Kenny. And since that's everything, my name is Jackson MTT Kenny and this has been Bold and Bright.